Good evening, friends, and welcome to the session once again. Today's session is very special. It is a book reading session of the Beyond Limits. This is the first book reading session that we are organizing. We had conducted a couple of sessions about the stories which make this book last year in October, November, December 2024. But that time, the idea was just taking shape. Uh, this book basically is a compilation of short stories which motivated me in my life. They inspired me. They helped me reframe my perspective and deal with the many challenges in my professional and personal lives. And I used to share these stories in my coaching and training sessions, and they would almost always elicit a wow response from the participants. And that encouraged me with the thought, why not uh, compile them together in a book? And that is what was the motivation. And there is something about stories, it's very easy to remember. So stories we would have heard in childhood, we still remember, and they have this way of transforming us much more than data and facts can do. So that was the idea of compiling these stories. And what we are going to do today is read one or two or three stories, depending on the time that we have. And we will discuss about your perspective on those stories. So I would like to begin by asking for a volunteer. You could volunteer by using raise hand button in the reactions. Any one or two of you, if you can just volunteer. Sarika.
Yes, yeah, I'll do. So,
All right.
yes,
So
yeah.
Sarika, I want to uh, ask you, have you had a chance to read the ebook or the book?
No, I
Okay.
didn't. Yeah.
Then I would like you to share with me a number from any number between 1 to 42.
Okay, so in the chat, I'll share.
Yeah, you can talk. You're unmuted. You can say any number. You can choose any number between 1 to 42. 20.
26.
Okay, so we will pick up story number 26 for reading.
Okay,
And this is a very interesting story. It is titled A Timekeeper's Dilemma. It's not there in the ebook, so you hear me out.
okay.
Page 119.
Yes, I'll open from the ebook.
No, it's not there in the ebook, Sarika.
Okay,
Yeah. So this is titled A Timekeeper's Dilemma. And there are two quotes at the start of the story. Friendship is the only cement that will ever hold the world together, by Woodrow Wilson. And second is, a good friend is like a four-leaf clover, hard to find and lucky to have. It's an Irish proverb.
mm,
Winston Churchill, the stalwart leader known for his indomitable spirit and stirring speeches, was in the midst of a grueling election campaign. His schedule was packed. He was moving from city to city, addressing rallies and meetings with supporters who awaited his stirring words. Every minute counted in this high stakes race, where public perception and timely appearances could make or break his chances. It was a sunny afternoon, and Winston Churchill was in the thick of his campaign, traveling across England to rally support for the upcoming election. His schedule was hectic, a series of speeches and public appearances meticulously planned to maximize his reach. As he was traveling, his personal assistant Hopkins had the formidable task of keeping everything running smoothly. As they drove through a small town, Churchill suddenly ordered the car to stop. Startled, Hopkins complied, pulling over to the side of the road. Churchill had spotted an old friend from school, Mr. Edmund Wallace, walking along the cobblestone path. The two hadn't seen each other in decades, and Churchill couldn't resist the opportunity for a reunion. Edmund, is that really you? Churchill exclaimed, stepping out of the car. Edmund turned, his eyes widening in recognition. Winston, by Jove, it's been ages. The two men embraced, their laughter and animated conversation filling the air. They reminisced about old times, shared updates on their lives, and delved into discussions that only old friends could understand. For Churchill, this was a rare moment of personal connection and a welcome reprieve from the relentless pace of the campaign. However, as the minutes turned into hours, Churchill's personal assistant Hopkins grew anxious. At the next rally, thousands of people were waiting, growing restless and impatient for his arrival. Hopkins knew the importance of sticking to the schedule, but he also knew better than to interrupt Churchill lightly. As his tension mounted, Hopkins wiped the sweat from his brow and finally mustered the courage to approach Churchill. Sir, I apologize for the interruption, but we must be on our way. The crowd at the next rally is waiting, and we are already running late. Churchill paused, his expression shifting from surprise to contemplation. He glanced at his watch, then looked at Edmund, and a sly smile crossed his lips. With a theatrical flourish, he removed his watch and handed it to Hopkins. You keep the time, Hopkins, he said with a hint of his characteristic arrogance. I will keep my friend. The audacity of Churchill's gesture left Hopkins speechless. Churchill turned back to Edmund, resuming their conversation as if nothing had happened. Hopkins, clutching the watch, could only comply. So, this is the end of the story, and I'll pause here to hear from you. How did this land with you?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm unable to open, sir, book here.
So, that book doesn't have this story, Sarika, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I would now like to open up for discussion on how did you like the story? Did it make sense to you? Before I share how this played out in my life, thank you, Richard. So I heard this story nearly more than 35 years back from a friend of mine, from a classmate of mine. So now this is the last part of the story, how I keep my time. My classmate from Narsimhanji and a dear friend, Samir Rai, shared this story with me. I really loved the story, and since then, I don't keep time when I meet my friends. My friends who are reading the story or listening to it will vouch for it. So this is how this deeply influenced me. And when I meet my friends, I, you know, make sure that I'm undistracted and I have quality time with them. And is there anything that is coming up for you as you hear this story? Hello, Surya sir. Hello, Prasad. Hello, Vijay. And then the story ends with few questions for reflection, which you can reflect when you lay your hands on the book. Uh, Vijay, are you there? Would you raise your hand? Now I'll request to call on the second volunteer. Any volunteers, please raise your hand, virtual hand, or unmute yourself and speak.
Well, I can always volunteer, Ashish. My
Yes,
apologies.
Richard. Thank you. Thank you. Now, could you get a chance to glance through the ebook?
I have it open on my cell phone, so yes, more or less. Yeah.
Okay. Is there a title you would pick up from the book that you have in your hands? Ebook.
I'll quickly glance through as we speak, which would take not much more than a few seconds on this part.
Surely, surely. Take your time.
Thank you
And
so much.
there is an index which has the title of the stories. You can pick up one that calls out for you.
Yeah, yeah. So it's well structured, by the way.
Sorry?
It is really well structured and an
Thank
insightful.
you.
So I
Thank
think it's a
thank
gift to the world. I think number 9, the beauty of detours.
The beauty of detours. Okay. I'll read that one next. 37.
The destitute millionaire, the wise farmer, but I think I've heard that like 20 times, but it's still great. Yeah.
So this is a very interesting story. And I'll start by reading the quote. If you fail, never give up, because fail means first attempt in learning. End is not the end. In fact, end means effort never dies. If you get no as an answer, remember no means next opportunity. This quote is by Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. And the story starts with this. मन का हो तो अच्छा, ना हो तो और भी अच्छा. Translated for the benefit of Richard, if you get what you desire is good. If you don't, it's even better. These timeless words from Harivansh Rai Bachchan's Madhushala always intrigued me. But I never truly understood their depth until I encountered a poignant story from the life of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Dr. Kalam, a pioneering scientist who led an inspirational life and later became one of the India's most beloved presidents, faced a moment of profound despair early in his life, early in his career. As narrated in his autobiography, Dr. Kalam aspired to join the Indian Air Force. He worked tirelessly and applied with unwavering dedication. However, fate had other plans. After the rigorous selection process, Dr. Kalam ranked ninth on the merit list, while only the top 8 candidates were chosen. The disappointment was crushing. Unable to see a future without the fulfillment of his aspirations, he felt his dreams had shattered and even contemplated suicide. But destiny, as it often does, had other plans for Dr. Kalam. Dr. Kalam's failure to join the Air Force was not an end, but a redirection. It redirected him to the paths he might not have explored otherwise. He channeled his energies into the field of aeronautics and space, contributing significantly to India's missile development programs. His dedication and hard work eventually led to monumental success in the Indian Space Research Organization and Defense Research Development Organization. His contribution to science and technology earned him the highest civilian honors, and ultimately he became the President of India. The same Air Force that once did not select him now saluted him as the Commander-in-Chief. This story beautifully encapsulates the essence of मन का हो तो अच्छा, ना हो तो और भी अच्छा. When our desires are met, it brings us joy. However, when they are not, it often leads to greater opportunities and blessings we might not immediately recognize. That is the end of the story, and I'll pause here to see how this landed with you, if there is anything that is coming up for you. I'll now share how this played out in my life. So this is my detour story. This was my learning from the story of Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. The story taught me that setbacks are often redirections towards something better. Disappointments should not dishearten us, as they may be universe's way of guiding us towards a greater purpose. In both personal and professional life, we frequently face situations where what happens does not align with our expectations. It is easy to lose faith in such moments, but these challenges can become stepping stones towards something better if we embrace them with an open mind. One personal experience stands out. In July 2005, I was scheduled to be transferred from Ahmedabad to Mumbai on July 25th. This was a move I was very happy about. I had vacated my house and packed everything in anticipation. However, the transfer date was unexpectedly moved to July 27th. This left me feeling frustrated, as the farewell was done in office and there was nothing for me to do. This delay also affected my joining a new assignment where I had to deliver on major national level projects on a tight deadline. In hindsight, I realized it was a blessing. On July 26, 2005, Mumbai was hit by record-breaking rainfall. Mumbai received a staggering 944 mm of rain in just 24 hours, making a 100-year high in rainfall for the city. And I got saved by the grace of God. Had I arrived on 25th, I would have been completely unprepared for the chaos which followed, that resulted in severe disruption and loss of many lives. This experience reaffirmed my belief that when things don't go as planned, something better often lies ahead. Let us celebrate our journeys with all their highs and lows, trusting that every obstacle is a step towards something greater. Keep striving, keep believing, and keep moving forward. So that's the end of the story. I'll be happy to hear your comments, questions, reflections, anything that comes up for you.
May I share something, Ashish?
Yes, Richard, please.
I'm very grateful for you to share this story. Thank you for your wisdom, and it reminds me a bit on that me personally can never
I'm not able
see.
to hear you clearly. Is that only me or others are able to hear?
I can move a little bit closer to the
Yeah,
camera.
that is better. That is better, Richard.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So what I think is that you always refer to as gold as grand overall design, and I think we're not always in a position to oversee everything that has happened. So what the effects are of seemingly impossible temporary setbacks or whatnot, and I think that's beautifully inspiring in your wording. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Jagdeep. Jagdeep, I remember you were there initially last year also when we were reading some of these stories. That time the idea of the book was just forming. So thank you for being there in this journey with us. Now I'll request for the third volunteer. Anyone to raise their hands? Any volunteer or anyone who would like to share a number in the chat? Any story, if you have read the book, any story you would like? Yeah, thank you for sharing that, Surya sir. So if you have read the book, any story that you would like me to read, that also is fine. You can type in the chat or unmute and speak, or you can type a number between 1 to 42 in the chat and we'll pick up that story. 22. Okay, let's see what's there. Loser or winner? Very interesting one. Okay. I'm happy. Very nice stories are coming up. Thank you, everyone. So this story, Loser or Winner, starts with a quote. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. And this quote is by Winston Churchill. And now we start with the story. Abraham Lincoln's path to the presidency was fraught with setbacks, personal sorrows, and relentless perseverance. Born in a humble log cabin in 1809 in the backwoods of Kentucky, Lincoln's journey from obscurity to becoming the 16th president of the United States is a testament to resilience, perseverance, and the transformative power of relentless pursuit. In his early years, Lincoln faced a series of electoral defeats that might have discouraged even the most determined. His first major political foray came in 1832 when he ran for the Illinois state legislature. Despite his enthusiasm and preparation, he lost. Though he lost the election, he did not let this setback dissuade him. Instead, he continued to hone his skills as a lawyer and an aspiring politician, illustrating the importance of perseverance and ongoing self-improvement. Personal adversity also marked Lincoln's path. His marriage to Mary Todd was a source of profound personal struggle. The couple faced significant marital discord, exacerbated by Mary's emotional difficulties and Lincoln's own periods of melancholy. Their relationship, tested by Lincoln's frequent political failures and personal losses, was a testament to the complexity of maintaining personal stability amidst professional turmoil. In 1836, Lincoln ran for the Illinois General Assembly again, but faced defeat. Undeterred, he remained active in local politics and improved his legal practice. His determination was rewarded in 1846 when he was elected to the US House of Representatives, albeit briefly. His time in Congress was marked by his vocal opposition to the Mexican-American War, reflecting his strong moral compass and willingness to stand up for his principles, even if it meant political isolation. The loss of his first son, Eddie, in 1850 added another layer of personal grief to Lincoln's life. This profound sorrow, combined with ongoing political challenges, might have derailed a less resilient individual. However, Lincoln's ability to compartmentalize his personal pain and continue striving towards his goals exemplifies the power of emotional resilience in the face of adversity. Please allow me a minute. By 1858, Lincoln faced another significant challenge. The US Senate race against the formidable Stephen A. Douglas, despite his best efforts and his memorable Lincoln-Douglas debates, Lincoln lost. This could have been the end of his political career, but loss in the Senate race did not diminish his resolve. Instead, it propelled him onto a larger stage, leading to national recognition and setting the stage for his eventual presidential bid. In 1860, after years of setbacks and personal losses, Lincoln was elected as the 16th president of the United States. His election came at a time of national crisis, with the country on the brink of civil war. Lincoln's leadership during this tumultuous period was marked by his commitment to preserving the Union and addressing the issue of slavery. His Emancipation Proclamation, delivered in 1863, was a landmark moment that redefined the nation's moral compass and had far-reaching implications for civil rights. As President Lincoln faced unprecedented trials, the Civil War raged across the nation, threatening to tear the country apart. Lincoln's leadership proved instrumental in navigating the United States through its darkest hour. His monumental work, including the Emancipation Proclamation, which declared the freedom of slaves in Confederate held territories, reshaped the nation's moral and political landscape. His dedication to preserving the Union and promoting equality left an indelible mark on American history. Lincoln's presidency was characterized by a profound dedication to his principles and an unyielding commitment to his vision for the country. His efforts not only guided the nation through its darkest hour, but also left a lasting legacy that transformed the American landscape. His success was not simply about achieving personal goals, but about leading with purpose and resilience through an era of profound change. Lincoln's story is not just about overcoming defeat, but about the power of perseverance in the face of adversity. His personal losses and repeated failures did not define him. Instead, they forced his character and resolve. His journey from a struggling politician to a revered leader exemplifies the profound impact of resilience, vision, and unwavering commitment to one's principles. So that's the end of the story, and I'll pause here to hear from you what came up for you as even the story. Did anything inspire you, motivate you? Could you relate to any part of the story? I'll now go on to share my perspective on the story, which is reframing failure and success. In our society, winners are often celebrated, placed on pedestals, and honored with accolades. There is nothing inherently wrong with that. Success deserves recognition. However, what truly bothers me is how we treat failure and label people as losers. In many cases, this labeling as losers seals the fate of people. However, personal experience at my 25th school reunion illustrated beautifully how people can shake off the tag of loser and emerge victorious. One of my classmates, who struggled academically throughout the school, took the stage to share his life story. To the surprise of many, he had become an incredibly successful businessman and a respected figure in his community. He leads an impressive life, owning several businesses, multiple cars, including an S-Class Mercedes, and more importantly, giving back to the society. His story is a powerful reminder that those who may not excel in traditional academic settings should not be branded as losers and written off by the society. At the core of this issue is identity, how others view us, and more importantly, how we view ourselves. When we are young, it is natural to allow the opinions of parents, teachers, and society to shape our identity. But as we grow older, it's our responsibility to take ownership of who we are and consciously choose an identity that empowers us. A simple yet transformative practice is use of I am statements. Whatever follows the phrase I am has the power to shape our reality. These affirmations can shift our mindset and help us step into the person we want to become. Here are a few of my favorite I am statements. I am a winner. I am successful. I am prosperous. I am healthy. One of the most accomplished coaches I know incorporates 50 I am statements into his daily routine, repeating them every day to reinforce his positive identity. So I ask you, what are your I am statements? How are you choosing to define yourself? We have conditioned ourselves to see failures and success as polar opposites, whereas in reality, failure is an essential and inevitable part of success. If you're looking for further inspiration on this topic, I highly recommend checking out the Losers series on Netflix. It offers a refreshing and insightful perspective on what it means to fail, succeed, and redefine what it means to be a winner. So, friends, that's the end of story number 22, loser or winner. Is there anything that comes up for you? So now we will, as Prasad requested, go to story number 32, and then we'll bring the session to a close. We might be going a little bit over time. Is that okay with you? Please type okay in the chat if we extend the session by another 10 minutes or so. Okay. All right. Thank you. Grandmother and the Serial Killer. That's story number 32, page 147. For those who have the book with you. I'm reading out the quotes at the start of the story. True compassion means not only feeling another's pain, but also being moved to help relieve it. Daniel Goleman. Don't ever mistake my silence for ignorance, my calmness for acceptance, or my kindness for weakness. Compassion and tolerance are not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. His Holiness Dalai Lama. The dark night was alive with ferocity of the storm, rain pouring relentlessly, and thunder roaring like a beast in the sky. Inside a modest home, grandmother Ellen and her granddaughter Lily were sleeping, wrapped in the warmth of their blankets, safe from the chaos outside. Suddenly, Ellen woke up around midnight, her senses alerted by a strange noise. In the dim glow of the fire's embers, she saw a dangerous looking man with a menacing axe, dripping wet, moving stealthily through their home. Her heart pounded, but her face remained calm. Lily stood beside her, eyes widening in terror as she caught sight of the intruder. She was about to shriek when Ellen quickly covered her mouth, quieting her fear. In a composed voice filled with concern, Ellen addressed the intruder. You are wet. Go to the room, wipe yourself dry, and change into dry clothes. Also, you must be hungry. Eat some sandwiches kept on the table. Her voice was steady, her demeanor gentle yet firm. The man, taken aback by her unexpected kindness, hesitated for a moment. Then, as if in a trance, he did as instructed. Ellen watched him disappear into the next room, then lay back down, holding Lily close until they both drifted off to an uneasy sleep. Morning broke with piercing wail of police sirens. The peace of dawn was shattered by arrival of law enforcement officers, armed and alert, approaching the house. Ellen and Lily were already awake, a silent understanding passing between them. Did anyone come in last night? A stern-faced officer asked. There is a serial there is a serial killer on the loose. He escaped from jail and has been hacking families to death in the neighborhood. Ellen met the officer's gaze steadily. Lily's hand clutched hers tightly. No, Ellen replied calmly. No one came here. The officer searched her eyes for a sign of fear or deceit, but found none. With a nod, he turned away, leading his team to the next house. Inside, Ellen and Lily sat quietly, the weight of the night's events settling over them like a heavy blanket. They had faced danger and survived, their silence a testament to the choices made in the dead of night. So that's the end of story number 32, friends. Anything you would like to share? Prasad, how did you pick up on this story? And now I'll move to the conclusion. My journey from aggression to compassion. In my earlier years, I took pride in working for companies known for their aggressive work culture. In these environments, one could often get away with murder as long as the results were delivered. Walking over metaphorical dead bodies was permissible as long as targets were met. I thrived in this culture, gaining significant recognition and material success. However, this came at a considerable cost. My peace of mind and health suffered, and my relationships with colleagues were strained. Beneath my calm, smiling exterior, I grappled with irritation and frustration, feeling misunderstood and unsupported. This is the third story on compassion, following the ones on Chandrasekhar Azad and the barking dog, that profoundly shifted my perspective. I came to understand that compassion represents a high energy state of being, contrary to my previous belief that equated aggression and anger with power. I had once viewed compassionate individuals as weak or naive. Through my journey, I discovered that maintaining calm and compassion can effectively address even life-threatening crises. This shift allowed me to communicate better and achieve more in both personal and professional spheres. While this transformation required time and patience, the benefits have been invaluable. For further exploration of energy levels associated with emotions, I recommend the book Power versus Force by Dr. David Hawkins. So, friends, that brings us, thank you, Prasad. That brings us to the end of story number 32. I'll be happy to hear any comments from you, any takeaways, anything that you liked, or any questions that you may have before we draw this session to a close. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Prasad. Thank you, friends, for. Thank you, Rajkumari. Sarika, you're on mute.
Thank you so much, Ashish, for a beautiful story and lovely insights. Yeah.
Thank you, Sarika. Thank you, friends, for taking out time and joining us for the session today. All of you would have received the ebook.
Yes.
Please read through the stories which are there in the ebook and feel free to share the ebook with your friends. And also, if it calls out for you, feel free to order the book either on Amazon or to us if you would like to have an author signed copy. Next weekend, we will have a session on becoming a trailblazing leader. If that is something you are interested in becoming, or anybody you know who would be interested in becoming a leader, please feel free to join the session. Thank you. Have a nice weekend and look forward to seeing you next weekend. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.